Is Google's reign as the search engine king finally coming to an end? OpenAI is looking to take Google's throne with their new ChatGPT search AI as your search engine. It sounds amazing, but are these LLMs even reliable enough to be your next search engine? And most importantly, can we trust these companies with the power that operating these search engines gives them with our perception of the world around us? Yo, welcome back, guys. Glad to have you. Yo, let me know what you guys think. Has the reliability, these hallucinations, been corrected enough to make a reliable search engine? Do they need to be 100% reliable to compete with Google? Is Google even 100% reliable? And guys, let me know what you think. Have we started to offload too much of our intellectual burden onto these digital systems? I think it's a really important conversation to have right now. And I think a lot of these are questions that we're not hearing being asked in the space. Guys, if you like the content, please like and subscribe and hit that little notification bell. I appreciate you being here, guys. Let's get into the article. We got a little video intro to break things down. Let us know what we're getting into today. Let's check it out, guys.
A ChatGPT powered internet search engine will be rolled out to the public starting today. This is according to the chatbot's developer, OpenAI, escalating its threat to challenge Google's dominance. The tech firm earlier beefed up its ChatGPT generative AI chatbot with search engine capabilities in late October. However, that feature was only available to paying customers. It allows users to receive real-time answers with links to relevant web sources. GoTime Bank's parent Time Group.
Wild, man. Dude, you know what's crazy about that? When I hear that, I remember how years and years and years ago, I'm talking like 4 to 6 years ago, one of the heads of Google was talking about search engines and talking about how, man, they wish instead of having multiple responses for search engines, they could have a search engine that picks the best response for you and then answers you conversationally. Like, I remember Google saying that, and now OpenAI has got that before Google's even got it. It's wild, man. And it's crazy, man. Google's Gemini, let's see how far that's gone too. Like is Google's Gemini able to compete? That's like, it's crazy, man. Let's get into the article real quick. OpenAI rolls out ChatGPT search engine to all users. ChatGPT's AI-powered search engine is being rolled out to users, free users of the chatbot for the first time. Maker OpenAI has confirmed. In the latest round of announcements as part of a Christmas countdown, the AI giant said it was making the search tool available to all free users of the app on every platform where ChatGPT is available, as long as a user has an account and is logged in. OpenAI first launched the ability to search the web inside ChatGPT in October to paying subscribers, and saying it would offer a more natural conversational way to get answers than using a search engine. Yeah, but what about hallucinations? As users will be able to quickly ask follow-up questions to get more information. The feature has been seen as a direct challenge to Google in the year that Google has started adding generative AI-powered results to the top of its search pages. Like, when you search on Google, you get that response at the top. That's basically Google Gemini. I mean, so you're basically already getting the ChatGPT with Google Gemini. Dude, yo, what's crazy is ad revenue and people that run businesses by operating websites and stuff like blogs and stuff like that. They've seen their revenue since Google did this. Since Google added this to Gemini, they've seen their revenue drop 90%. I wonder, Google did this out of nowhere and everybody was pissed. I wonder if Google had some sort of insider knowledge about OpenAI getting ready to do this, and that's why Google did it. Because you remember all those issues Google had? It was making mistakes left and right, and then they didn't pull it back. They just tried to work on it live, right? Fix it live. And I'm wondering if that's because they knew OpenAI was pushing for this. And so they were like, we got to get this out now, because otherwise this is game ending for us. Dude, elsewhere in its announcement, OpenAI said its search tool was getting better and faster on mobile devices, with the feature looking and acting much more like a traditional search engine. OpenAI has confirmed that it's adding its search tool to its advanced voice feature, meaning users will be able to search inside with their voice. The AI firm has spent recent weeks and months expanding its range of features and subscription options for users as it looks to build out ChatGPT and other products' capabilities as part of efforts to boost user numbers sales and ultimately revenue, because they aren't making anything. So this AI stuff, everyone using AI as a tool, it's all about to get way more expensive because they're slowly creeping up on the market share they were looking for. This is what tech companies do. Silicon Valley companies do this all the time. You saw it with food delivery. You saw it with the ride shares. You saw it with the Ubers and the Lyfts. Dude, what they do is they subsidize their own costs. They get venture capitalists to invest to subsidize costs of capitalizing the market, right? Of carving out a giant portion of the market share. And then what they do is once they have that market share, they then make their money back by hiking the costs up. And with something as expensive as AI, the energy it uses, the massive data firms and big old buildings to house the warehouses, store the data. God, why am I blanking on this word right now? Yo, you know how as expensive as all that gets to operate, they're gonna need to begin bringing some of those costs back, carving some of those costs back from their users, man. And so it's gonna, wow, man, it's definitely with this whole $200 a month subscription. That's how they're gonna do it. It's gonna be a whole bunch of stuff like that, and they're not gonna want to allow anyone from the lower classes to take advantage of this technology to begin to utilize some class mobility. So I fully expect that we're gonna see pricing to skyrocket, and anyone that is not upper middle class and above is going to have a real hard time taking advantage of these tools and using them to generate some sort of wealth for themselves. Even if you're in the upper class, you're probably going to be upper middle class. They're probably going to be gouging you, man. You're probably going to be toughing it out until you get something working. You know what I mean? Earlier this month, OpenAI announced its new high-end subscription for tier called ChatGPT Pro, which it's rolling out price at $200 a month for those wanting access to the firm's very best models and AI tools. And that's where it starts. Okay? And then eventually this is going to be the mid-tier. I'm telling you right now, I predict there is going to be an executive enterprise tier that is like $10,000 a month. And that's going to be the ChatGPT everybody was used to, right? Or whatever this $200 a month ChatGPT is. Eventually they're going to be working it out. This is going to be some $10,000 a month subscription for enterprise businesses, and then $200 a month is going to be for your average business owner who's looking for, you get what I'm saying? And then they're going to be, if you got, I don't know, what is it, like a $10 a month subscription or whatever to these things, man, you're going to get nothing. You're going to get search function, and then it's going to say, hey, how's your day going? I'll schedule a planner for you or something like that. Man, dude, a good thing we got the Gemini from Google and the assistants and stuff coming out, because competition is the only thing that's going to keep them from gouging us like this, man. And dude, I wanted to get into some more details, bro, because honestly, you can't even rely on these LLMs, man. They have done studies. This is a conclusion. I'm just going to focus on the conclusion. You can check out the study yourself, man. It's from arxiv.org. It's a study specifically on ChatGPT or AI LLM reliability as a search engine, okay? Our work provides, and this was from earlier this year, our work provides a comprehensive audit of answers from engines, moving beyond technical assessment to consider broader societal implications. Using a community-based usability study, we identified significant limitations to these systems' handling of queries, including biases and transparency issues. We propose 16 actionable design recommendations supported by 8 metrics linking design to evaluation. A large-scale automated evaluation of systems like U.com, Perplexity AI, Bing Chat showed that none of these, they went through a ton more too, but none of them demonstrated acceptable performance across most metrics, including critical aspects related to handling hallucinations, unsupported statements, and citation accuracy. As these technologies evolve, we advocate for continuous evaluation, whatever. Bro, none of them meet the standard for accuracy, okay? Dude, and on top of that, I want to get into real quick of how these things can affect your mind and change your brain. These things can affect how you think. They can change your brain. We're first going to get into how they can change your brain, and then we're going to get into specifically the ways that they affect how you think. Now, this is from Huffington Post, okay? This is an article, let's see, what's it called? How Google is Changing the Way We Think, okay? Now, there's a large body of research about the many ways that searching for information online is changing us. This is not just AI. This is literally search engines altogether, and all these things safe for our minds, and we're replacing them in our intellectual process, right? Now, there's a large body of research about the many ways that searching for information online is changing us. Studies found that people with access to search engines overestimate their intelligence, and that people who read online are more likely to skim. One influential study produced by researchers at Columbia, Harvard, and the University of Wisconsin-Madison found that people were less likely to remember a piece of trivia when they had access to the internet. Instead, they were more likely to remember where the information had been saved, like as though intellectually we are beginning to accept this as being an extension of our minds in an almost literal way. And guys, that's horrifying. Can you imagine if this becomes normalized beyond where it is now, and then all of a sudden, boop, access is turned off? Can you imagine the risk, even if it is only a 1% chance, the risk that represents, if it has become a large portion of our intellectual process, is horrifying. It's absolutely something that to me makes it not viable as a process. Like, we need to get back to logical reasoning. We need to get back to systems thinking, so that way we can engage in things in a level with when none of this stuff is available. Because man, this is becoming so normalized. Not having access to a search engine could become its own Armageddon. Can you imagine? Yo, the lights turn out and then nobody can even think? No one can problem solve? No one can put two and two together? Yo, that's a whole nother level. Like, screw not having clean food and water. You won't even have the ability to figure out how to solve that problem. You get what I'm saying? That's a real big issue to me, man. The internet has become a primary form of external transactive memory, where information is stored collectively outside of ourselves. The researcher concluded, what does that mean for our ability to learn new things into the future? What does that mean for our ability to develop new neural pathways? I mean, does that hinder our ability to develop new neural pathways? Are we beginning to offload the process of learning something to something else entirely? You get what I'm saying? Our brains are pliant and built to seek out new information. It's why we don't like reruns, explains Small. It's also why we react so strongly to the limitless information we can find on the internet. The web is a veritable all-you-can-eat buffet of knowledge, and search engines are an easy ticket in. It gives us exactly what we want, which is why it's difficult not to gorge. And we've been binging for over a decade now. In 1998, Google's first year in existence, the site saw 9,800 searches per day on average. Whoa! First year, 1998, that's wild, dog. By 2014, the number had ballooned to 5.7 billion. Search engines are not just an option for research, they are also the most prevalent way we encounter new information, which changes the scope of research on how they're affecting us. This is exactly what I'm talking about, guys. That's exactly what I was alluding to in the intro. When Small first ran his study in 2007, it was hard to find people who hadn't used search engines. That's why the people in the study were older, because older people tend to be late adopters to technology. Now he expects it would be close to impossible to find a sample of non-search engine users. For its part, Google has dedicated itself to creating digital options to replace human functions we now have difficulty using. In recent years, the company experimented with systems that allow us to record our location and actions and experiences on the site, outsourcing our personal memories from our heads to the web. Yet Small's latest research has evolved from earlier projects. He's now studying the effects of technology on deprivation on the brain. Recently, he studied a group of 6th grade students who were separated from their devices for 5 days in the woods. Forced to interact with each other, they showed significant improvement on their social and emotional intelligence after their retreat. That's reassuring, guys. That's reassuring, because these systems and these social media systems, they enter our feedback loop. They replace our feedback loop, and they kind of end up being the middleman between our interactions with each other. And in doing so, they really isolate us. And when they isolate us, they reduce our social cognition. So it's very important for studies like this to help determine exactly what we need to do, especially for our children that are being affected by this stuff way more than we are, on how to start mitigating that that process, because when you have stunted social cognition, it's followed with a stunted amygdala, a stunted ACC, all types of things designed. So when you have stunted social cognition that early in life, you end up having reduced emotional processing, reduced ability to understand and empathize with other people's emotions, and you also end up having a lot more of a difficult experience resolving cognitive dissonance. So it creates all types of issues for children. So it's great to see that we've got studies going on and approaching this stuff, man. But it's also horrifying to think about kids being more and more digital and on computers than ever before, man. The good news about that study is we can retrain our brain to reactivate those skills. Right, exactly what I'm saying. Nothing is being lost forever. Not yet. Not yet, though. Not yet. Not yet. Search engines manipulate the way you think. Another article, a little bit more of a psychological component, whereas that was more of like a kind of like in my opinion, a structural component, right? I guess now that I'm reading it again, I'm realizing they're not directly saying structurally, but when I connect it and I read this, I'm thinking about when children, how it affects the amygdala and how it affects their brain structurally moving forward. So that's why I had that interpretation. But this is really more from a psychological standpoint, and this is really more from an actionable standpoint, focusing on how they can change our perception of the world around us. New research suggests that what we believe search engines provide, not reckoning the results, but may be biased or inaccurate in any way. And it turns out that we tend to believe what we are provided by the search engines, using the information to impact upon our opinions and our views. In other words, Google is controlling your mind. This was demonstrated recently in a neat study looking at voting intentions in the general election in India. Researchers provided people with one of 3 alternative search engine results, each of which was biased towards one particular party. Over 99% of people viewing those search results pages appeared to have trusted them, not bringing them into question or considering that the results might not be true, even though the search engine results had been deliberately manipulated in favor of one political outcome. The participants accepted the results as factual. Guys, this article and study is from 2014. 2014, okay? Then in 2016, remember how Google had that meeting? They said, we're never going to let this happen again. We're never going to let a Trump happen again. Do you remember that? 2016? They were coming out with this in 2014. This study was done in India. They're talking about this one right here. Okay? This is the study they're talking about from India. It was done in 2014. 2016, they said, we're never going to let this happen again. What did we see after 2016? Nothing but hit piece after hit piece after hit piece. Nothing but using propaganda, emotional rhetoric, and broken narratives to try to establish opinions and headlines over and over again. Dude, in my opinion, this was not unconnected. Not that it's some sort of grand conspiracy or anything. I'm not saying that. In my opinion, all of these different informational nodes, all of these different points built upon each other, right? And these companies realized how much power they had, and they started working with different media conglomerates, right, to then kind of change what we were seeing in what the world around us, through that, what the world around us looked right? Change the framing that we were exposed to, and not in a connected way. Different. They all came to this realization separately because it was in their best interest, their self-interest. The media corporations, it was their natural system that they've used for decades to push propaganda, right? Google came to the realization that pushing this stuff and using that system that these newspapers and these companies that are now online have already been doing for decades, right? They realize they can use that and build upon that further to then further affect things, right? And they almost admitted it in that whole leaked meeting that they had, where they're sitting there and crying, saying we can never allow this to happen again, right? So anyway, I'm seeing all this, and I'm looking at the timeline, and I'm putting stuff together, and I'm saying, wow, these past 9 years since Trump was elected that we've been frustrated by with the media, when we're looking at all these studies, when we're looking at how search engines can manipulate our minds, it's starting to make a lot of sense. That's what I'm starting to put together. And so I'm seeing all this stuff, and it's really like, it's crazy, man. Like, furthermore, just 12% of people had their views swayed as just over 12% of people had their views swayed as a result of the search engine listing, even though that listing was biased. In other words, people are influenced in their opinion as a result of the search engines they see. And in the Indian general election, this would technically be enough to change the outcome of the vote. 12% of the people. And I've seen more recent things that indicate Google can reliably sway a vote by 4 points using search engine results. That by 4 points. That's what I've seen. I couldn't find it again to bring it up for this video, so who knows if it's true or if it's just rumor. But this study, 12% of the people who saw it had their views swayed. Over 99% of them just assumed everything was true. Dude, it's wild, man. It's wild. It's wild, man. Dude, and this stuff is real. This stuff is happening now. The video is going real long. I'm not gonna finish it right now. But yo, this is a real study, guys. Check out the Rumble version of the upload. All the links are on there. You know, I don't want to mess anything up with the algorithm or whatever. I don't know if they like or dislike certain websites or whatever that you put in the description. But anyway, check that. And you know, if you made it to the end of the video, hey, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you. If you like the content, there's more. All of my videos are pretty much just like this. About different stuff, though, you know. So please check out any of the videos you see here on my left, dude. I appreciate it, guys. I got music. My music is also pretty much about this too. Yeah, also mixed in with like some of my history, some of my past. I used to run around doing dirt, getting in trouble. So you know, if you want to see what like a street goonie, who the entire time he was a street goonie was aware of all this stuff was like and what his perspective was like, definitely check that out. I think it might be interesting. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, guys, and I will see you tomorrow.